Travis, my good soul. I'd begun watching Pennyworth early this morning, and after the last episode, I need to take an emotional break from it. Mormons believe that the Book of Mormon is another testament of Jesus Christ because under President Kimball, that's the subtitle that was added to it. So Mormons assume that the prophets are telling them the truth, that they speak the words of Jesus Christ directly, and therefore anybody like me is the true abomination that must be stalked on his channel, threatened with death, and attempted to murder. Fortunately for Mormons, they're illiterate. Their love for the prophets, their trust and loyalty to the prophets have made them stupid. 1 Nephi chapter 1, we find out that the Book of Mormon is written in the learning of the Jews. You have to keep reading the Book of Mormon to find out that it's a manner of prophesying of the latter day revelation. So all of these characters, all of these events are not literal history. They did not happen. They are stories with symbolism for the latter days. And maybe I should have waited a while first. And so Mormons see this, and they see it as Nephi and his abridgment of the record of his father, that they are literal history. And so Mormons spend their time debating other people who tell them that linguistic science has determined that the book contains plagiarisms, that it contains anachronisms, that it contains errors from mistranslated 1769 version of the Bible, that it and so Mormons live in denial. They just refuse to listen, and they go on about their life, not listening to guys like me when we tell you that it's the learning of the Jews. Because the learning of the Jews means that this church is false. It's the great and abominable church that the Book of Mormon is talking about. So that would cause a faith crisis. So you refuse to believe, you harden your heart, stiffen your neck, and you go on and live in your little bubble world, weaponized by the church to attack other people. So if we were to look at this as the learning of the Jews, we see that we're speaking of the first year of something. The reign of King Zedekiah is a symbolism. So it's a leader who is put in office in the latter days, and this is the first year of when he is put in office by a foreign government. So we need to identify what country is symbolic of Judah and what Jerusalem is the location. And so we need to find out the date. I'm leaking. I do have ice cream, but this isn't one of those kinds of crying. If for some reason you don't know who Pennyworth is, I refer you to Batman, Alfred. It's a prequel series that was on HBO, I think. So we have Lehi, who's the hero of this particular version of the story in the Book of Mormon. There are lots of different stories. Each one needs to be understood differently, because it's the learning of the Jews. And he's already wanting to know about the fate of his people. And he has a pillar of light above the brightness of the sun that dwells upon a rock in a hat. Not quite. But he knows of the prophecies of the latter days. And so he goes back home, and he has a second vision. This is a dream. So this definitely did not happen, because he says himself it's a vision. Like Joseph Smith in his first vision, second vision, they're not literal history either. And so Mormons can't have that. It has to be literal history. Despite all the contradictions and controversies and problems, etc. And so he sees a sign in the heavens. Signs in the heavens give us star dates. We're going to find out when this first year is. And that has to do with the latter days, obviously. So it's the first year of the latter days. And so he sees God sitting on his throne. He sees Emmanuel. And he sees 12 others. And so we now can know the date. It's from Revelation chapter 12, verses 1, 2, and 5. And the reason why I know it's 5 is because God in his throne. And the Joseph Smith translation confirms this. And, wouldn't you know it, they throw in the learning of the Jews, Jewish Kabbalah, in the Joseph Smith translation. Sign in the heaven and the likeness of things on the earth. That's the learning of the Jews. Manner of prophecy, a book of Revelation for the latter days. And the date, by using my Urim and Thummim, Stellarium program, 23rd September 2017. It has never ever happened before. It will never ever happen again. This is a one and only star date. Because John was that precise. He included everything in it. And the 2 constellations, well 3 technically, because Ophiuchus was the 3rd one, because of verse 5. That's the throne of God. Because you have to understand the origin of what each of the constellations refer to. And so now we know that Zedekiah would be put on the throne in 2017. So we still need to know where on earth this is to take place. And we would need to know from a star date that would help us, but the star date also would involve a solar eclipse. Because a solar eclipse, if we can get with that, we're set. We would not only know the date, but we'd also know the location on Earth, because the solar eclipse casts its shadow on the Earth in a path. And so, having realized that the Book of Mormon is following the Book of Revelation for the latter days, and we know that 2017 is established in Revelation, chapter 12, we keep reading Revelation, we keep looking for a sign in the heavens that involves a solar eclipse. And wouldn't you know it, there it is in chapter 19. So, talking about the white horse that Emmanuel is on, then continues on in verse 17, I saw an angel standing in the sun. There it is. On the back of the white horse, an angel standing in the sun. The moon in the sun. A solar eclipse on the back of the white horse, which is Pisces. Pegasus is the white horse. Pisces is on the back of the white horse. The solar eclipse will be in Pisces. And as the first year is 2017, we then check our Urim and Thummim again, and we move forward. You can go day after day if you want, or you can just look online and Google search solar eclipses for the next decade from 2017. Lo and behold, as you look at each of the solar eclipses, you start to recognize, hey, the book of Samson talked about that constellation dying. And there's this guy named Travis who says that Samson is Paleo-Hebrew for sun king, and deaths correspond with solar eclipses, because it's the sun king, deaths of the sun king, solar eclipses. And so the lion is the first death in the story of Samson, the Sun King. And so wouldn't you know it, there was a solar eclipse in the first year. 21st of August, 2017, in the constellation of Leo the Lion. And it was right there at the King Star Regis. That was cool. There were many other cool things that were attached to that as well, such as Monson's birthday and the ancient Egyptian religious calendar New Year, which has never ever happened before, having a solar eclipse on New Year, and will never ever happen again. The Egyptians have been prophesying about this too. And so then we find out that this year, on the 14th of October 2023, is Samson's wife getting burned by the Philistines. And yes, it too is over the United States of America, as it will pass over Utah and is in Virgo. And then we keep on going, and we find Samson's death with his destroying of the great and abominable church, the Philistines at their temple. Don't listen to Bruce R. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He says building. It's a temple. And yeah, sure enough, it corresponds with 8 April 2024. Because Samson is Jupiter, Sun King, The man-child of Revelation 12, Jupiter. Jupiter is in the sacrificial ram constellation. There's the sign of his death. And the fall of the church, the great and abominable church. Angel standing in the sun. Which is interesting, because having done the research, I have to repeat the videos I've already done for you. The actual Christ's birth is the death date, and the death date is the birth date. Kind of cool, but nonetheless, Pisces is his birth sign. So that's why the stories of Jesus, according to the learning of the Jews, not literal history Christian, has him talking about 2 fishes, Pisces, and 5 loaves of bread, Virgo, Spica, house of bread, Bethlehem. Those are 2 births. Pisces is his actual birth as a human. And the 5 loaves of bread is for the 23rd of September 2017, where he gives birth, or is born, having passed Spica, the house of bread, born of Bethlehem. But as a Mormon, nope, you don't believe. All of that information, all of that knowledge, you refuse to allow to learn and accept and believe and include in your knowledge. And so your mind is darkened as to the truth and reality of the prophecies, because they have already been happening. Because yeah, we're in the final year, and it will happen this year. The solar eclipse will pass over Utah, and there have been events corresponding with the signs in the heavens, and Mormons are completely clueless about any of it. And they have the Book of Mormon, they read the Book of Mormon, they believe the Book of Mormon, they bear false witness that it is true as literal history and another testament of Jesus Christ, all the while clueless that they have the greatest prophetic book in the history of mankind.